In this section, we're going to talk actually my favorite topic, which is numerology. I know what you're thinking. I signed up for a tarot course, so what are we doing talking about numerology? But I actually came into tarot through numerology. I'm a scientist by background. I've always loved numbers. So I actually got into numerology first, and then the psychic who was tutoring me said, I could be able to read tarot cards, and it's all based in numerology, so it should be an easy transition from someone who loves numerology into tarot. But the reason I want to take you through some numerology basics, because numerology can be so deep, is because it can get you out of jams and readings when cards don't make any sense. So if you have some card combinations that don't make any sense to you and there's no obvious explanation, then really look at the numerology, and that'll help you figure out what message is trying to come through the cards, and then they help you stitch it together. I think that's one of the misconceptions I'll talk about in another spot is as people try to go from knowing to reading, as you put the cards together, it's not just you're not just connecting their expressions or their definitions or their meanings. There are so many other layers to it. One is their numerology. Two is their, another one is their hierarchy, which we'll get to, and all that kind of stuff. So there are so many things that will help you figure out the connection between them and the flow of the cards within the reading, which will be different every time. If you want to go super deep in numerology, this is my favorite book in the world on numerology, Numerology and the Divine Triangle. And I'm going to give you super basics today, what you need to know kind of for tarot. But you can go so deep in numerology, it's way deeper than lots of other things. I think that's why I think it's funny and it's so helpful is if you polled people who loved tarot, whatever the case may be, astrology, and said of astrology, numerology, and tarot, which is your least favorite, 99% would say their least favorite is numerology. But it's super helpful because everything, your name, everything resonates and vibrates in frequencies. That's why you vibrate with other people. That's why your yearly cycles kind of ebb and flow based on the vibrations. The whole world is vibrations, and that's why I love numerology. But I'm going to take you through what you need to know for tarot. So we'll go through some of the cards and stuff like that. So when you see all the aces are ones because they're the connection between the earthly plane and the spiritual plane. So they're kind of the bridge. But they are ones from a numerology standpoint, and ones are new beginnings. So you see the Ace of Cups, new beginnings and things that resonate with your spirit or your emotions. So that could be your water sign figures, things that could be, new relationships, new babies, pregnancies, stuff like that. Ace of Wands, things that resonate with your fire sign, new beginnings in your fire sign, and resonate with your spirit. That's why it's often creative things related to your work, career, or creative endeavors. Ace of Pentacles is new beginnings and potentially money, so maybe a new opportunity coming to you, new jobs, whatever the case may be. Ace of Swords, new beginnings and potentially communication. This is someone who's up for a battle, wherever the case may be. All of the aces are ones, and ones are often new beginnings. And if you are doing numerology of houses, people who do this always try to buy a house whose numbers add up to a 1 in numerology. And in fact, my house does not. So I bought a 1. I bought the number I needed, and it's by our front door to change our house to a 1. A 2 in numerology is the duality, because 1 is very independent, right? The individual, the independent beginnings, doing things. 2 is the partnership, the coming together. So it's this duality or things coming together. So you see like the 2 of Cups could be, this is 2 people meeting who you may spark with. You resonate on just emotional level. When you meet somebody and either you really like them or you don't like them, instantly, this is kind of resonating with someone because you may have the same numerology or frequencies. 2 of Wands often comes up tons of time in readings. So this is the need to make a choice, right? So the duality of you've got 2 possible paths and you got to make a choice. You got to pick a path. The 2 of Pentacles is the juggler. So this is kind of like keeping balls in the air, and the only real kind of advice you can give them is just keep going, keep juggling the duality that you have, right? 3s, so 3s in numerology, so this is the social or the creation. So the 3 of Cups is obviously associated with social gatherings, whether that's happy hour, parties, weddings, celebrations, whatever the case may be. It's people coming together, and you can see the individuals are wearing different colors because when you get together with other people, you feed off of their energy. And so if you're down in the dumps and then you go out with your friends to happy hour, you can pick up off their energy and kind of they'll fill you up and they'll resonate with you. 3 of Pentacles would be like the creation. So this is someone building a cathedral. They're not completely done, but they're on the path. So they've created part of it and they're on the journey. And then the 3 of Wands, after you've made the choice before, Now you just got to wait for your ships to come in. So this is the creation of, you put your choice out into the universe. It doesn't mean that the universe responds instantly. So this is kind of a pause between you making your choice and just waiting to see the repercussions of it. But all of these are threes in numerology, so if you get stuck in them, that's where you can go to. Four is in numerology, so this is about stability, firm foundation. You want to build houses, on foundations that are firm. So all these kind of go off of those. So the Four of Pentacles, this is someone who, but the duality of four is that you can be stuck. You don't want to get stuck where you are. So Four of Pentacles is someone who has some physical resources, and Pentacles deal with the physical world. This could be money. People often associate with money. So this could be someone who has some money, but their fear of loss of that money, you can see him hold on to it tight, is preventing him from moving forward. So in this case, the stability he's given is holding him back from where he wants to go. This could be, a job that just pays the bills, but isn't fulfilling your career. Well, then, you're kind of stuck because you're too attached to this, or holding on too tightly, or too afraid of losing that steady paycheck to kind of go where you really want to. Four of Wands is kind of like a stable house, stable environment. Four of Swords is more, time to meditate, get your mind, stabilize your mind, get that in. And then the Four of Cups is really dealing with more of almost a frustration. So you have some emotions. You're not totally miserable or depressed. That's why it's a frustration. Frustration comes when you have things that you should be feeling good about, but it's not satisfying you quite right. And that's why it's almost a frustration. You can see he's actually thinking about this cup that's floating in the air versus the other cups that he has. Five. So this is one of the most helpful ones in lots of reading, because as the fives come up, or multiple fives come up together, it can always be hard to kind of stitch them together in a way that makes sense. Fives in numerology are all about change. So in all of these cases, the main takeaway, if you're super confused, is the querent, the person asking the question you're doing the reading for, needs to change something. That's the main message. So in the Five of Wands, there's a competitive environment. So he has to change something, his approach that he's doing, in order to stand out from the competition, whether that's applying for a job or trying to date someone who may have multiple suitors. You need to change something about yourself to stick out from the crowd. Five of Cups is don't cry over spilled milk. So this is, you need to change the way you are really feeling about the situation, to not focus on what you may have lost, but focus on what you still have. And you can see the bridge behind him. That's the bridge that'll take you to the other side. Five of Pentacles is a short-term loss in money or health. So you may need to change either some habits or something like that to get yourself healthy again, or change some things to really, recover from the financial loss you may have. And Five of Swords is winning the battle and losing the war. So you are winning the argument, but you are not getting the outcome that you want. And that's because you need to change the way you're communicating. Swords are about air signs and communication. So you need to change the way you're communicating, because that's the way out to actually get what you want, versus trying to win this specific argument and then you never get what you want. Six in numerology is about balance and harmony. And so once you have achieved balance and harmony, you can actually give to other people. So you'll see in the Six of Pentacles or the Six of Cups, they're actually kind of giving things to other people. So when your cup is full and your life is in balance or in harmony, then you have the ability to give your gifts to other people and to help people benefit from either your skills or what you're doing or what you create. So once you've gone through that change portion, you can kind of achieve balance. The Six of Swords is more associated with, in order to achieve balance, you may need to make a physical location move or change, or do something to steady the waters that are kind of rough and not serving you well. Seven in numerology, seven is probably the most important number in numerology. They didn't used to teach numerology to anyone whose life path or birthday didn't have a seven in it, because they felt that was so important for numerology. Sevens deal with taking time to pause and reflect, looking inside. This is not a time for action. It's a time for introspection and thinking. That's why you've got the Seven of Cups with all the choices there. Well, some of those choices are really good and some are really bad. And then the clouds tell you that some of the information is hidden from you. So therefore, you shouldn't rush into making this decision. Yes, you have many choices. That's awesome. But you need to take the time to really think through them and make sure you make the right choice, because you may make the wrong choice. The Seven of Pentacles. So this is saying that, you've kind of planted your crops and now you're just kind of, you shouldn't take more action. You're just kind of waiting to see what the harvest will be. So you've put in the work, you've done all the things to get the field ready, plant the farms, they plant the crops. Now they've grown, they're in the process of growing. Now you just got to wait to reap the rewards. And then the Seven of Swords is like the thief. So it really says someone is an energy vampire in your life. So you need to pause and really think about, well, if I keep talking to this person, are they just dumping their problems on me? Are they, every time I leave talking with them, they make me feel like, I'm in a bad mood, or they've lowered my energy, or they always need me to be there for them, but they're not there for me. So this is, you need to rethink and reevaluate that relationship, because someone is creating an imbalance in your relationship. They're an energy vampire. They're not there for you when you need them, but they suck the life out of you when they need you. 8. So this is more of like, in general, it's like a karma. 8 and is a perfect symmetry. As above, so below. You reap what you sow. So that's why it looks like an 8, because above the ground and below the ground, that's what you get. So the karma is, if you plant the ground properly, then you'll grow the right crops. That's why you can see, the 8 of Pentacles is an apprentice, someone who's on the journey, putting in the work, doing the work. So if you put in the hard work, you will reap the benefits. 8 of Wands is more about kind of busy travel, kind of that side related to it. 8 of Swords is more of damned if you do, damned if you don't. Like, the right thing to do, but it's short-term painful. Right long-term, the right thing to do, short-term painful, and that's why you're hesitating. And then the 8 of Cups is more, it's like the next half of frustration, where this is, you have a lot of fulfillment emotionally, but you are seeking something else. This is more of like someone who's going on a spiritual journey, heading towards the moon, heading towards water, trying to find things that'll fulfill them more. So all these things are like fulfilling your karma, what you were meant to do, or what is right on your journey in this path. 9's in numerology, so this is kind of like endings and completions. So this is more of like Pluto energy if you're into astrology. Then the 9 of Swords says, obviously the situation has gotten so bad that it's literally keeping you up at night, right? The 9 of Pentacles would say this is like the next step, right? So after you've been patient and planted, done the work, you kind of reap the garden that you have. So this is like the endings and completions of that cycle. The harvest is here. You can now reap the rewards of it. This kind of gets into a lot of like self-care things, which we'll get into, but that's kind of where it gets into this. 9 of Wands is kind of like you've gone so far on the journey that you're now feeling a little defensive because others behind you on the curve may be trying to pull you back down, wherever the case may be. So 9s really deal with endings or completions of a cycle. And 10s in numerology become a 1 again. So as you do the cycle, it always goes generally 1 through 9. There's some other master numbers, which are kind of, we'll leave for a true numerology course, but it's kind of like the finale. So the 10 of Swords is a new beginning, because the situation is deader than dead. Like, it's so bad, nothing bad can happen. Like, you can't kill the body one more time, right? So whatever frustration or conflict you have, this is the worst. So you're at the bottom, and you can see the sun kind of rise in the background. That's kind of the new beginning. It's not going to get any worse than this. The situation is dead, right? Whereas the 10 of Wands is more of, at the end of this cycle or the end of this completion, you are you're carrying a burden, right? You've achieved what you could on this cycle, and it's the finale. Now you're kind of ready to move on because you're done with this. Well, as we go through the hierarchies, you're done with this level, this tier of being the laborer, and you can't take that burden anymore, and you're ready to do something else. So it's like the finale of that ending. Whereas the other two, the Cups is more like, that's like the Hollywood ending, right? You found your relationship, marriage, kids, family, the house, and the country, all that kind of stuff, Hollywood ending. And then 10 of Pentacles is like abundance, just true abundance raining down from you from the universe, that impacts all the generations, because you got 3 generations there with the little boy and the grandfather. So I'll leave it at this as far as numerology. So if you struggle with any of the meanings of the cards, or how they go together in combinations, let's give an example. Like, let's go through, like, this was your reading. You're like, oh man, I don't even know how to stitch these things together. This doesn't make any sense at all. But if you've got 4 5s, the universe is just smacking you with the fact that you need to make some changes. You need to change how you feel, how you think, how you approach the situation, because whatever your approach is right now is wrong or not working for you, or not going to get you to your true destination. So even though some of these cards may come up in combinations, you're like, I have no idea how these are connected. If you're seeing repeating 5s, that's the main message in the numerology for the individual, that they need to take action to change. And that's how numerology can get you out of a jam if you're not sure exactly what the real meanings of the cards are trying to tell you. Maybe it's not necessarily about the root meanings of the cards or their suits, it's more about their numerology and their expression saying you need to make some changes. Or in this case of the sevens, like you need to not rush into anything, you need to pause, do some inner work, some self-reflection. I think those are the two most useful to me as I see them coming up in readings. So hopefully this is helpful for you, and then you can see the value of really understanding the basis of numerology, because there is so much numerology in the tarot. It can really get you out of some jams. And if you're just doing card combinations and trying to do a reading just on the expressions or the definitions only, you're going to lose a lot of value if you're ignoring the numerology. The numbers are right there. They're there for a reason. They got to have a purpose in the reading.